Aaron, how are you, man?
Hey, good. Thank you, Tim. Really
Good. I really appreciate you doing this. It's a real pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. And
So
you too.
cool, man. Well, so what are you up to? What's going on?
You've caught me on a day. Friday is mainly my teaching day. So I teach from home. I've got some students locally in my area that come to mine. And yeah, in my living room / playroom / corner studio thing.
Yeah.
And we do some lessons. Yeah, so that's how you've caught me today. But in general, it's just I say this quite often now. It's being a musician, it's the same job 5 different ways. It's functions, it's sessions, it's teaching, it's recording, it's trying to do some social media, it's, maybe doing some pop stuff and playing at jam nights. It's just the hustle.
It certainly is. That's the best way to describe it. Get a cat out of the way. As soon as I hit record, they're like, look, let's see if I can get in there. So you introduced, I always kind of ask this, about jam nights.
Yeah.
How often do you get down to them?
So, as often as I can. So I play at Troy Bar in Shoreditch in London, and I'll play there as often as I'm asked, if I'm on it. Which is, I kind of get asked every week, but then if I'm busy, if I'm working, I've got something on, and let's say there's 2 weeks, I say no. Then I think they kind of maybe not have me as high on the list to ask if I can play. But as often as I'm free to play, I will go down and play. And I think I do it a lot now because I didn't do much of it when I first started out.
Okay.
As a musician. So I'm kind of seeing the benefit and reward of it, I guess, a bit later on down the line.
Okay. Do you find it's good for networking, making contacts, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think if I'm honest, I think it's great for just being able to play and not have to be too worried about what you're playing. In terms of when you're working and you're playing your instrument, you're either prescribed parts to play or you're told to maybe hold back. Or if there is a moment for you to play out, it's a very short moment. Do you know what I mean? If it's a solo, or even if it's just your interpretation of a song, you have a moment where you can kind of shine or whatever. But at a jam night, you can kind of just be free to do your thing within the parameters of what's going on and, musicianship and stuff. So I find that more so for me at this point, I enjoy being able to just play all the time.
Yeah.
I think, just getting your reps in, just playing. Because otherwise you just can spend, if you don't have a busy week or two, you can just be home, or you could just be not playing your instrument. Or not engaging with music in a competitive way. Do you know what I mean? Where you're amongst other people. And networking is good for that. There's always someone there who's wanting to get a new guitarist on board, or bass player, or keyboard player, or wants to write, or wants to collaborate on something. And they will always have a chat with you afterwards or during the break, and give a chance to, exchange social media stuff and whatnot. But I guess for that particular one, it's more of a muso jam thing. There are other ones in town where it's just loads of bankers who just want to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've got one just around the corner. I mean, we're a little out of town. We're just more Sutton, Croydon area.
Yeah.
And there's a blues jam night, first Monday of the month, and it's dentists with $5 grand PRSs. It's
yeah. Hey, don't slam the $5 grand PRSs, man.
I won't.
Let's find a new brand for.
Yeah. But it's not like a musos jam night.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and and if you want to go down and play, and I got up and played a couple of tunes, it's all right. It's good fun, but
it's different though, isn't it? You're not going there to network.
Yeah,
it's going to have a play.
Going to have a play, but it's weird because I've never really, other than going to that blues jam night, I've never done jam nights, and I'm now kind of thinking maybe I should have done. Maybe I still can.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's again like with kids and stuff, and trying to get that balance.
Yeah.
Saying to my wife, I'm going out for it's a gig. Is it a gig? Oh yeah. How much is it? Well, it's nothing, but it is a Wednesday, and I'm doing. She's like, that means like I'm not going to be back till 9. That means you've got to get a babysitter for you to go out and just. I was like,
play.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I think with Trova, like because it's so late, I can essentially put everyone to bed and then go.
What time is it?
Well, the live music probably starts about 9:30, maybe 10 p.m. So, and I live out of town as well. I live in Essex.
Okay.
So the drive in is about an hour. So yeah, my younger 2 kids will go to bed at 6:30, and then my older one will go to bed at 8.
You lucky.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like once she might have dance on one of those days, so she might get back at 7:30, and then we'll give her an hour. Yeah. So she might go to bed at 7:30, and my wife can put her down. But if not, like I can essentially put everyone to sleep, say goodbye to my missus, and she generally goes to bed early, and then I can go and then come back. The only problem is I don't get back till maybe like 1:30 or 2, and then everyone's up at like 6:30. So. Do you know what I mean? So I'm at that point as well where it's like I do enjoy it, but also when I've had a few weeks not doing it, I'm like, all right. Yeah. It's a whole different brain space to like be awake late and still like perform in a way that you want to perform.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so. Yeah. It's I've got quite a quiet October. Yeah. And we've just had a studio built out in the back. And I was like, I can't wait to get it up and running. And but I've just had, like, last weekend, I had a really easy gig. It was really local. Got back relatively early. Yeah. And both kids are now just starting to sleep in late on Saturdays. And it was brilliant. And I'm looking ahead at, like, next weekend. I'm like, I've got a fucking gig in Devon. It's going to be a 4 a.m. shift. And then it's going to be, and I've just really enjoyed that. Yeah. Not loading the gear up, not doing the drive, not doing the setup.
Yeah. That's actually exhausting, man.
It's fucking knackering, and I don't know if enough people talk about just how fucking knackering it is doing those function gigs out in the fucking sticks.
In the sticks, man. Yeah, by the time you've actually packed your stuff in your car and your change of clothes, if you've got a long drive, I'm not driving in my gig clothes. Like,
no.
Do you know what I mean? You pack that in and you do the drive, and you might stop for a snack or something. You get back in and you go, and then it's like you get to the gig and. Depending on how you timed it, you might have like half an hour, 45 minutes, just get set up and then get going. Yeah. And then, it is. It's a thankless task, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. So do you do many functions?
I do it all, man. I do it all. Yeah. Like I don't discriminate any part of the music business in terms of what I decide to say no to, unless it's really inconvenient for me or I'm tired or the money's just like really, really rubbish. Because I think I just realized that like it's a hustle, and also I've got a family. So it's like I can't just wait for the gigs where I've got a tech and there's a tour manager and,
as lovely as those are.
Those are cool. They have their perks. But then, equally, a lot of those pop gigs don't even pay as well as doing functions. So it's like, but then the caveat is maybe the pop gig you're doing has like more dates in a row. Like, so, but yeah, I do it all, man. I do it all. Like one of the function bands I'm in now is really cool because if there's an out of town gig, they'll get us a tour bus there and back. So you just have to get to the location, the pickup point. Mm-hmm. And they bring you there and they've got your clothes and all that stuff. So you're literally just packing your guitar and a little pedal board or something and you can go and come back, which is cool. And we kind of rotate the same tunes. So you're not necessarily having to learn a ton of stuff beforehand that you don't already know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, every now and again I do get a random one where it's like, can you dep this function in Southampton or something crazy? Or, you know what I mean? And it's just like, not doing anything, so might as well give it.
Okay, all right, that's cool, man. I mean, I think everybody, you need to have as many fingers in as many different pies as you can, and like you said, it's just a fucking hustle.
Yeah. So,
it's a hustle. And if you take a step out, some like 10 people will be there, like, I'll take it, I'll do it.
Facts.
So you gotta get your spot and earn it and keep it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So with all that, with like gigging, with touring, family life, what's practice look like for you these days?
That's funny. I was having a chat with my wife and her mum just a minute ago about free time. So my son at the moment is in a phase where as soon as he wakes up in the morning, he's just like, "What we doing today? What we doing? What we doing?" Even when we've done a thing or we've been out in the morning, on the way home, he's like, "What am I doing when we get home?" It's like, bro, chill. Like
We're doing nothing, all right? Nothing is a thing.
Yeah, like nothing is a thing. Like you can just play or just be I don't know.
Be a kid.
Yeah.
Go outside in the garden and just get dirty and shit.
Yeah, exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like my wife was like, "Yeah, it's kind of similar to you," and I was like, "Me." But then I thought about it. I was like, "No, you're right. Like at any moment, like if I have a free space, a free slot or whatever, I'm always trying to occupy that space, like with doing something. And a lot of the time, it would just be like picking up my guitar and playing. So I have my guitar's always out. A lesson I learned, I can't remember, I think maybe it was at university, was just like make practicing as easy as possible for yourself. So like if you pack all your guitars away, it's longer for you to get to your guitar and get it out and warm up to it and start playing.
Yeah, I've got two right here to hand, just waiting, ready.
Exactly. I've got one behind me. I've got an acoustic in the corner usually, and it's like, it just helps that, if there's 5-10 minutes, I can just pick it up and get on it. And so practicing to me at the moment looks like just maybe if I can find in maybe like an hour and a bit to just run through some things that I want to learn or kind of areas I want to grow in, maybe technically. And I kind of I track that stuff as well. I've got like a spreadsheet on Excel, which is like the kind of 5 areas I'm working on. The current kind of BPM, I've got them at, some notes of where I'm struggling, where it can.
Go on, let's go into that. What are you working on? What you're struggling with, and
all right,
what are you pushing towards?
Let me throw it up now,
because that's very organized. Having a spreadsheet and
well,
I've never been that organized.
I think I've grown into a place where I see the benefit of it, as opposed to always being that person. Sorry, I'm just loading it up now. And I think for a long time, this is like I was saying to you earlier, when it comes to like having kids, right? I had my first kid when I was in my early 20s. So at that point in my early 20s, when I just got married, I was still at university. So that's a great time to be shedding stuff and going crazy and really pushing and whatnot. But I found my focus to be on trying to adjust to being a dad and a husband and trying to make some money. So those times where I probably could have, while my wife was at work in those days, I could have had, the day to put in crazy hours and just be shedding.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put in crazy hours to like work part-time, maybe have a gig in the evening, plus like keeping on top of my studies to a point where I can finish my degree well. So I think I kind of put some stuff on the back burner because I just didn't have the time to dedicate to it, or I didn't have the capacity, I think, mentally to be able to compartmentalize, like, this is my practice time, this is my uni time, this is when I'm going to work, this is when I'm parenting, this is when I'm being a husband when my wife is home. But now I think I'm a bit older and I'm like, okay, I think I've got the capacity to do that. And I think that's just because I'm older as a parent and I have more kids. So you realize that you actually, if you want to do something, if you want to get it done, I need to make it as easy as possible for myself.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've got the spreadsheet up now. So I'm working on a solo that I really like, by this guitar player, and I've like downloaded the video. It's on my laptop.
Yeah.
I've watched it in half speed. I've broke it all down. I've got it under my fingers, but now it's just a point of getting it up to speed.
What solo is it?
It's like just one of those like little Instagram solos, but the solo was really melodic, and I think it felt like, so this guitar player for me is a guitar player called Jules the Wolf. I think a lot of guitar players will know him, and he plays guitar for artists called Party Next Door and Justin Bieber and stuff like that. But I think he's great. He reminds me a lot of myself in terms of the type of guitar music I like to listen to, the type of guitarist I like to listen to. He kind of embodies a lot of that, but he's like not the final form of it, because he would probably, I don't think anyone would say they're the final form of anything, but yeah, I think his note choices and his rhythm parts and all that stuff are like where I would like myself. That's the path I would like to stay on to get to. So yeah, he was just playing over this pop tune, and the progression was quite simple, but he really stretched it out, and it was great. So anyway, learning that, and I've got on here duration, so that's 20 minutes. I'll do that for. I've got day, so I'll log which day of the month I've done it, and how consistent I've been with it, tempo, etc. And then I'll have a section for if it's completed, if I've done it, and then notes. And then I've got like some 3-note per string exercises. So I'm working through like this Paul Gilbert DVD. What's it called again? Let me.
Is it Intense Rock?
Yeah. There you go. Intense Rock.
With the purple Yeah.
And it's funny. It's funny because like a lot of my early guitar influences like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and a little bit of Paul Gilbert as well. Like I didn't realize they all kind of played guitars that were really loud, like in terms of how they looked, like and the colors and stuff like that. So when I see his guitar, I don't ever think anything of it. But then when I look at my own guitar collection, how bright the colors are, I'm like, oh, that's where I got it from. I got it from those guys, which is really cool, because I wouldn't say I'm like them as a player in any way, but like their tone and their intensity of how they play and all that has had a big effect on me. Anyway, then I've got I'm learning this riff from a band called The Intervals.
Okay.
The song is 5-HTB. It's a great tune. Definitely check it out.
Okay.
And then there's some sweep picking stuff I want to get under my fingers, because I've never really been into sweep picking. I've always just kind of avoided it because I never thought it would be necessary in the route that I wanted to take. But I guess the older you get, you're like, oh, actually, it might be cool to learn this and have it, Yeah. And then just like relearning some arpeggios in a different form. So like more like 3-note per string way of playing arpeggios instead of kind of 2-note per string as I guess I learned growing up. So just unlearning some stuff to relearn some stuff.
Yeah.
But those are areas that I would like to improve in.
Okay.
To just be a bit more well-rounded, I'd say.
Yeah. What when you said like sweep picking, it's like something that you'd never thought of doing. I don't know why, but I decided to have a crack at economy picking.
Ooh.
And I was like, because I always viewed it as like, well, if I'm going to pick, why not just alternate pick it? If I'm not going to pick, then I'll just hammer on and pull off.
Yeah.
And then I just started watching some like loads of Eric Johnson videos. I'm like, I was like, that motherfucker is economy picking. So I went to my teacher. I was like, "Have you got any economy picking stuff?" He was like, "Yep."
Yeah.
And he just set me off with a really simple exercise, and we just kind of keep pushing the tempo and everything. And not only is it like just helped economy picking, but it's really accelerated my alternate picking as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm now really leaning into downstrokes and I'm really leaning into upstrokes with a flat pick.
Yeah.
And now when I alternate pick it, I'm like, holy fuck, that's just expanded to that area too. And I just think it's crazy when you learn one technique, it somehow lifts everything else as well.
Yeah. And I think that's a really great point, because for me, the way my brain is wired, I'm very intense about things. So like I've wanted to have a sort of practice plan like this for years. Like I said, since my early 20s when I was at university. But like I'm so intense to a point where like I would want to build a practice plan for every area of playing guitar.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because I want it all to be perfect. I want to extrapolate as much as I can from everything. But that's just not achievable, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was only recently I stumbled across this YouTuber who like teaches guitar online, and he always shouts. I can't remember his name, but he always shouts, but like as a joke, it's his thing.
Yeah.
But he was just like, if you're struggling to practice, there's only 2 things you really need to practice. And I'm thinking, here we go, really gimmicky. But he was like technique and improvisation. Improvisation, sorry. And he was just like, basically when you're practicing technique, well, you need good technique to be able to kind of get off all the ideas that you want to get off when you're improvising.
Yeah.
And to kind of have that confidence. But like within practicing technique stuff, you're just covering a lot of ground in general. And then when you're practicing your improvising, it's like you're also covering a lot of ground in terms of maybe like theory stuff and your arpeggios and trying to stay in that sort of like flow state of mind in your brain. So like you have to intentionally practice that stuff.
Yeah.
And that for me was good because it basically just stopped, like it helped me to kind of almost generalize the two. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just focusing on these two things. But actually I'm knocking out a lot of the other things within, like almost like sub-genres within improvising and technique that I've always wanted to work on. But it just helped for me to condense those two things.
Yeah.
So yeah, like alternate picking was something that I've always wanted to improve in. And I'm, Frank Gambale's got some great videos and stuff on that sort of stuff. And, I've sat with that for ages and I'm like, okay, I can do these exercises, but I don't feel like it's pushing me forward as a player. But then I start to work on maybe like 3-note per string stuff, the Paul Gilbert stuff. And I'm like, I'm doing 3-note per string stuff because I've never really played as a 3-note per string guy, right?
Yeah.
More like bluesy sort of box pentatonic sort of shaped stuff, right? But then I'm realizing that in order to get this 3-note per string stuff down, my alternate picking needs to be really good. So I'm actually working on that as well as doing the 3-note per string stuff. So like you said, now my alternate picking, I can feel that there's more emphasis on actually every note being attacked with intensity, as opposed to kind of floating into notes, which I feel like if you're from the more like, I guess, sort of bluesy R&B sort of like entry into guitar, for me anyway, I felt you could be a bit more floaty and get away with it.
Yeah.
But with like 3-note per string stuff, and when you're kind of playing heavy, you can't get away with.
Yeah.
Unless
you've got unless you've got a load of compression on.
Yeah, exactly. And what I love about Paul Gilbert is like he will demo stuff clean. He'll play it clean with no overdrive and distortion, and you can still hear how he attacks the strings.
It's like, I mean, it does get to the stage where you start listening to it. It's like, well, that's not music. That's just an exercise. But I see the value in the exercise, and if that can bleed into music, great.
And that's the sort of like the place I'm getting to in terms of understanding technique more now, because I've always been from that place of like, if you're so focused on technique, then you're not really worried about music per se. But there is beauty in both, and I think it was Jacob Collier once spoke about like needing to have great technique to be able to play the ideas in your head. And if you don't, then you can't get them off. And it's I agree. Pointless.
I mean, it's like learning new words. Like you learn new words to express yourself. It's like you learn new techniques to do the exactly same thing. But I saw a really cool thing on, I think it was again on Instagram. It was about football. And I don't know why.
What team do you support? Sorry,
Arsenal.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Great.
Yeah. And there was a video of a kid. He must have been like 8 or 9, quite young, and he's just doing he's just solo playing in his back garden, and he's just got like mad fucking ball control. It's like exceptional.
Yeah.
And like the comments were like, "Oh, put the kid on the pitch. What's he like with 10 other players?" And then, but someone put this post up. He said, "No. When you're learning football, I can't remember the numbers and I can't even remember the order, but it was like from like ages 6 to 8, you learn ball technique. That's all you learn, and from 8 to 15, you learn." Like strength and endurance. How fucking fast can you run? How far and how long can you do it? And then from 15 to 19, you learn how to play the game.
Tactics,
and then from 19, all your tactics, moving, like position and if you do it in that order, that's how you get to be a pro player. And it just got me thinking about, well, how would that apply to music? And so I've always kind of done this anyway. But I've been really religious on just getting kids to focus on all you're going to do is learn how to play in time. I don't care what chords you know, what grade you're at. If you can't play in time, fucking nothing's going to work. And I had a kid show up for a lesson, first lesson with him, and he'd been having lessons for years. He just moved school, so I'm his new teacher. And he's like, "I'm doing grade 7." I'm like, "All right, well you can fucking play." And I said, "Just okay, play me through the piece." It was like, "That's a little bit wobbly." I was like, "Could you just strum a G chord?" I was like, "You can't even do that." I was like, "Could you?" I was like, all right, okay, dude, you're like, your timekeeping is 0.
Yeah,
You've got to go all the way back and just sort your time out. And it's just it's the same thing. If you learn good timekeeping as early as you can, that just sets you up for everything else.
I agree, and I think, and sometimes as well, when you get older and you're playing, you'll get bored of your own playing after a while. And I think for me anyway, again, I'm really intense with myself, and I think I can see the holes in my playing.
Yeah,
and I think, there's some technical flaws in my playing that I'm just like, I don't want to run from anymore. I want to embrace the fact that I can't do those properly, and then just go back to the drawing board and just do it. And I think it's taken me a while to come to this place, because there's a lot of pressure on just wanting to be employable, wanting to work, wanting to keep working, But like since like May, I've deleted Instagram off of my phone. And obviously Instagram and Facebook Instagram's owned by Facebook, and it's the Meta group, right? So they've got this app called Business Suite. And essentially, if you have like business pages, you can run your Facebook page and Instagram page through that. So I've downloaded that, which means I can like reply to messages, and I can post stories on there, or I could edit a video on my laptop and post it via that thing, right? But what it stopped me from doing is just being on Instagram all the time.
Doom scrolling.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I think that is the thing that stopped me from pausing in my tracks and working on stuff that isn't strong in my playing, because you just always, you're like, one day you're like, I need to work on this, and the next day, I need to work on that, or I need to work on that. And that's just from scrolling, right?
Yeah.
And again, because I'm really intense, like, I'd rather just not do anything than do something half-heartedly.
Okay.
Right? So I think being off and having that clear mind and realizing that I'm not racing with anyone to get this stuff fixed, like, and there's no rush for me to post online, because actually I kind of want to get this together before, I don't know, not before I post again, but like I just want to get it together because I wanted to get it together, and there's no time limit on how long that takes. It's just it'll take as long as it takes, because I want to keep playing the guitar until I'm physically not able to, right? It doesn't need to be down by next week, sort of thing. And just taking that pressure for me has helped with my practice, because I'm just not like as intense about the finish line. If that finish line even exists. I guess the finish line is like, can I use this technique on the go? Like, is it just part of my vocabulary? As you probably know, when you learn something new, you can learn it in that sterile environment in your room and play it. But where the real kind of acid test, which is the benefit of jam nights, is playing it at a jam night. Can you pull out that technique or that lick?
Can you do that banjo country roll that you've been practicing for like the last 6 weeks?
Can you? And sometimes you'll be like, oh, okay, I can't do it. But actually, playing it live in the context of a band is probably the best way to figure out if you've got it down or not. And I think it was when Andy Wood was on your podcast, and he said something about, I think it's about just being brave as a guitar player and just like going for stuff, going for licks that you can't really do, or you're not sure. That's when you're growing and you're pushing yourself to.
I think he said, like, don't be afraid of the tempo. And like that, just like, it was a throwaway comment for him. He probably says it all the time, but I was like, don't be afraid of the tempo. Because like, I don't know how you learned, but I was, from a very early age, when I started playing young, or like in my early years of playing, there was the rule: start slow and gradually build up. And that was kind of stayed with me for like 20 years. And then when I had a lesson with one of my other teachers, he was like, no, you're never going to get it fucking done. Just crank the tempo to tempo and bring it down so that it's just starting to fall apart. And that's where you start and go up from there. And it was the same thing that Andy said. He was like, if you want to learn Country Boy, there's no point doing it at 70 BPM. Start at 150, and no matter how shit it sounds, you're already playing it to tempo at at speed. So
because the muscles
are
different, aren't they? The muscles you use are different to play fast. I mean, did he say something about obviously like if to get the notes correct and get them under your fingers, play it slow. But then once you
got it, crank it.
And that's what I've been like, this solo that I've learned in. It's like, that's what I did. It was like, some of the stuff I was like, I can't actually hear what you're playing because it's so fast, or because musically my ear it's not picking up that interval yet, or that arpeggio you're playing. So I'll slow it down. Okay, I've got it now. All right, note for note, it's fine. Now I have to just commit to playing it to tempo.
Yeah.
And just playing it fast, because otherwise I'm never, like you said, you're never going to reach that point where you can play it.
Yeah, like I had a student come in. He wanted to learn Riptide. Do you know that tune?
Yeah,
it's just like strumming chords, A minor, G, and C, and he was just doing it so slow. I was like, no. I was like, let's just do it to tempo, at speed, even if it's shit.
Yeah.
And it was. And I was like, look, it's shit, but at least you're shit at the right tempo rather than being shit at a slow tempo. So you've done it. You're already halfway there now.
That's so funny. I'm the same, man. I don't know what it is. Like, I think my maybe entry into guitar was maybe a little bit unorthodox, or just a bit all over the place. So like a lot of this stuff I just kind of picked up and learned later on. And I'm like, going back to that football analogy, that Insta post you saw, I kind of wish that like those building blocks were in place for me when I started to know, okay, from this point to this point, it's just going to be technique based stuff. And that's just once that technique is down, then you can technically play anything, right? Yeah. Once the mechanics are there and all the fingerings are correct. But yeah, I didn't start that way. So then later on, when you're trying to do certain things, you're like, why can't I get this? Like, I know what I'm meant to be doing, but why is it not working? And I think, like for me now, I'm definitely trying, once I've got an idea down or a thing down, I'm definitely like, all right, cool. Just go to tempo and just keep going
out the edges.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing about practice. Practice, I don't think is meant to sound good.
No, it's not.
I think it's meant to sound rubbish. Like, I think you're meant to sound bad for a while, and then it will sound good because you've got it, and then you move on to something else.
Yeah, I mean, like when I'm practicing improvising, I don't sit and do the stuff that I can play. I stretch myself, push myself.
Yeah.
The timing's going to be off. You're going to hit a few bum notes, but each one of those little fuck ups is like a little step closer to where you want to get to.
Exactly.
So you've got to embrace the mistakes and like do it, like you said, doing it at jam nights. Like, I'm just going to give it a go. And if I fuck it up, I fuck it up, and if I don't, I hit it, great. But
I think as well, like that's why I really struggled with like social media in that way, because everyone, including myself, the nature of it is just to present the finished version of whatever you're doing. So even if someone's post is like jamming over this B minor backing track, it's probably not the first take. Like, unless you're like John Schofield or Matt Schofield or Pat, I don't know, one of my goats. Like, if you're one of my goats, and I know you can get that off in one take. Do you know what I mean? But for most people, it's like, you've probably, I don't know. It's just not. It's not always perfect. It's not always perfect.
And I think social media has taken away those rough takes, those rough edges, and those that sloppy playing, because you can spend like 2 weeks, a month, learning just a run or a lick. You put it up on Instagram, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's done it!" But you don't see all the fucking work that's gone behind and how many takes. And
correct.
Are they speeding it up in post?
Yeah, correct.
All that kind of stuff.
In some way, it'd be cool if musicians were able to. It takes a lot of thought, but like the next time you're learning a piece of music, just record every day or every few days what you sound like, and then when you've got it down, just put those all together. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And just be like, it sounds cool now, but like this is what it sounded like when I started.
This is day one.
Ago. Yeah, this is day one. Like
day 10.
Yeah. It's quite transparent, isn't it?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah. You mentioned Matt Schofield. Are you going to see him next week?
No, I'm not. Didn't even know he was doing a show. This is honestly, like, if I knew before, I would have known what concerts are when, because people post about it, because social media is like, it's a marketing tool essentially, isn't it? Like, but I've just missed so many shows in the last few months because I just don't know, because I'm just not scrolling.
No.
But like, I would love to get out, and I need to go to more shows because they're just so inspiring. But I'm not going. Where is it? Where is the show?
Ronnie Scott's. Yeah, he's at Ronnie's on the 18th
of October.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it in my diary.
I did try. I don't know why I did this, but when
they sold out, they must be
sold out. Yeah,
oh, of course it is.
He put the dates up, and I was like, "Oh, cool," because I had him on the podcast as well, and he said, "Yeah, and I'm down in Ronnie's in October." I was like, "Cool, man." So I bought a ticket. I just bought one ticket, and I said to my wife, "I was going." She went, "Oh, did you get me a ticket?" I was like, "Do you really want to go and see a thing at Ronnie's?" He's just like, "Of course, I'd love to." I was like, "Fuck." Shit.
Is your wife a muso as well?
She is, but she's not she's like a pop. She came over. She came over from New York. She's like a pop singer. She's also classically trained.
Amazing.
And but she's never expressed any interest in like blues or jazz.
Yeah.
But I think she's like, but it would be a night out. Are we going to Soho? I was like, oh, fuck.
You messed up. You messed up, man. Big time.
I know. It's another time. So the other thing is, like, what does getting better mean to you now? I know we talked a lot about practice. We talked a lot about technique, but like, it's like, is there any other aspects that you think, man, this is what I now want to focus on to be a better musician rather than, a better guitarist?
What does getting better look like? Getting better to me at the moment has a lot to do with rest, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a good headspace to be able to play and be a part of a band. I think, because we can be crippled with like self-doubt and imposter syndrome, stuff like that. And I feel like when you can be in a room with people who maybe you don't know or you looked up to, or you might be called for something that you feel you're unqualified for, but your attitude is, I'm just going to give this a go. That this could be really fun. I just want to give my best and not be afraid of any mistakes because we're all human and we make mistakes.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like that is getting better because that's what getting better looks like to me.
Yeah.
Because I haven't lived in that place previously mentally. So I think that for me is like, oh, cool. Like, you never used to feel like this. So the fact that you do now is really good. That's a positive step in the right direction. And then what I don't think getting better looks like is necessarily always being busy.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes, although cream rises to the top, like I said before, I think this job is really a hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are moments where the landscape doesn't look the way you thought it would.
Yeah.
But that's not always an indication of you as a player. It could just be, like you said no to a few gigs because you're busy.
Yeah.
And now other people are on those gigs. So at the moment, everything is settled. Everything is, do you know what I mean? There's nothing new right now, but you just have to kind of hustle and find your spot somewhere else and kind of get your foot in the door somewhere else. So I don't always think, because you're super busy, it means you're getting better and you're really good. Sometimes it's just the way it goes for some people. I don't know. Yeah. So I think, getting better definitely looks like the mental thing that I was saying. And what it doesn't look like, is always necessarily so-and-so is really busy, so that must mean they're quote-unquote really good or whatever. And I think also, it's weird, maybe I'm not even answering the question right, but like just being able to put yourself in scenarios where you might feel uncomfortable. I think that's what getting better looks like as well. Like, because that's where we grow, I feel.
Definitely. Have you had any recently?
Have I had any recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I've been asked to do quite a lot of master classes this year.
Okay.
Which has been really strange for me because I never really saw that as something I'd want to do when I first started like playing the guitar. But I think just in terms of like how I like to communicate with people and engage with people, and maybe the kind of stuff that I post is a lot more bringing people in on the journey and maybe sharing information. And also, I've got quite a bit of experience now. I found, like universities and colleges and brands and stuff wanting me to they want to put masterclasses on for me or sessions on for me to speak to younger people. And it's like the first one was like, what am I doing here? Like, this is not, they're going to see right through me, etc., etc. The thing is, it went really well.
They always do. It's
Yeah.
like your head plays tricks on you, and you're like,
Yeah.
But when you're there,
they've been going well, if I'm honest with you. But I think, that was a moment of like, okay, cool. Let's put myself out there and do something that's stretching me a bit. I mean, yeah, musically, all the time, like, I've been doing a lot of like guitar duo gigs with another kind of function band thing. They do stuff at Wembley Stadium. So every time there's a football match on, they seem to be called for stuff. But sadly, they don't let us stay for the game. No. But yeah, I know.
You'd think they would.
Right?
Like, come on, there's enough space. There's a seat there. I could just sit. I'll take that seat.
No. I need that booth. I need that private box. I see the private boxes. Some of them are free. It's not hard to let us in. But no, like, for those gigs, it's like, again, I never really grew up playing these sort of things, but it's you, a cajon player and a singer.
Yeah.
No, see, cajon players doing nothing. They don't have to learn songs. They just tap along to the beat. Like, but you as a guitar player are doing such a lot of heavy lifting, because it's like you're accompanying the singer, and if you've never met the singer, you have to interpret how they're gonna deliver this song, whereas they're just singing the word, and then it's like they might do verse, chorus, verse. Here you go, have a solo, and then it's like, okay, now I've got to make sure.
There's nothing behind me.
But now it's like I've got to bring a loop pedal with me.
Yeah.
Well, I've got my quad cortex, and so I'm playing along. And a lot of the time, they don't really let you know when the solo's coming. They just drop it on you. So it's almost like every chorus, I'm looping the chorus in case they're like solo. And that for me is like a whole nother part of guitar playing that I never really intended to give much thought to, because I never thought I'd be doing it or wanting to do it. But then, like I said, it's hustle mode, isn't it? So you just have to figure out how to make this work, and then see it as another stream of income. But when I don't do it for a while and then I have to do it, I'm always like, oh, okay,
here we go.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't like it's like you said, it's a lot of heavy lifting doing those gigs. If there's no bass player, there's no keyboard player, especially if they're like, oh, could you do some backing vocals as well? You're like, okay, I can do that.
I've not been asked that yet, but I guarantee they're going to ask me now that you said this.
Yeah, but like just that whole take a solo. It's like, okay, I don't play with a loop pedal ever.
Yeah.
I tried it a couple of times and I just couldn't get the fucking thing to sync up. But this is a long time ago. Hopefully they've got better in terms of looping in time.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just me not hitting it in time. But so take a solo on a solo guitar gig. It's like, okay, well, I've now got to try and thumb the bass, and I've got to try and man, it's like a lot of work. It's like I'd rather not actually.
And I think good. Yeah. Actually, we could just play this chorus a few times.
How about you sing the chorus again?
How about you solo? How about that? Yeah. But I think, if you're an improv sort of guy, if jazz and if you're into improv music in general, then you're like, great, time to get some of those licks off that I've been practicing or whatever. Like, because I think because a lot of what I've like grown up playing or being asked to play is mostly been prescribed, and that again, that focus for me in my 20s was like work. So I was doing a lot of pop gigs, a lot of like accompanying artists, and like there's no solos. There might be a line or two, there might be a solo line or an outro line, but it's like they're not saying improv like play as long as you want and solo. So that is almost stuff that you need to have under your belt, like we were saying, in those formative years of playing. Whereas I maybe feel like my formative years were a bit jumbled.
Yeah.
In terms of getting my music together. So
okay. And do you you mentioned earlier that you went to university. Did you? I assume you studied music.
Yeah. I studied music. Yeah.
Where did you study? What did you study?
Well, when I was there, it was tech music school.
Yeah.
But then it transformed into BIMM.
Right.
So it was guitar tech. So there was drum tech, vocal tech, guitar tech. I did a diploma there, and then I went on to study and get my degree.
Okay. Who were your teachers when you were there?
Jim Clark, John Wheatcroft.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can see all their faces in my head now. They're gonna kill me if they watch this back. Femi Tomorrow was there as well in my second year. Femi looked after us.
Did you enjoy it whilst you were there?
Yeah, I enjoyed. This is the thing. I enjoyed it because it was intensely about guitar, and these guys are so knowledgeable that any part of your playing that you're not sure of, they've seen it all before. Like they're able to break down where you're going wrong and whatnot. So it was great to be able to speak to them, and they talk you through stuff. And they're also a bit old school, so their kind of thing was like, look, the only way you're going to get this is if you practice. If you don't practice, you're going to sound rubbish. So it was, I kind of like that school of thought of being a bit harsh as a teacher to get your stuff together.
I think it's essential and necessary that you've got someone there to say, that was shit, go back and do it again. But I mean, I haven't taught in like those kind of colleges, and I haven't been to one in 20 years. But from what I've heard, I spoke to Jim, he was on last week.
Yeah.
And I spoke to other tutors that have left these institutions, and it's just like they're not allowed to do that anymore. They can't be overly critical. Like everyone gets a pass, everyone's allowed on the course. And instead of these being like institutions of educations and these kind of spaces where we're allowed to grow as musicians, it's now just a place where they're just, each person's like viewed as a customer.
Yeah, which is sad, really, isn't it?
Really sad, because
what you're producing at the end is not as refined, and as the quality's not as high.
But the worse than that is when you get kids come out of these institutions, they apply for a gig, they turn up, and they just get shot down by either an MD or a producer or another band member, and they're like, they've come out with this false sense of security or false impression of their own playing. Yeah,
that's so true. There's some of my friends, and I kind of share this opinion of sort of growing up playing in church and growing up playing with certain MDs that are from our background. Like, it's harsh, and it's a really tough school of musicianship. And like, because we've been through that, we can navigate most situations. Do you know what I mean? So we don't get into workplaces and you're not rattled by an MD asking you to do something or giving you feedback, or, you know. But the newer musicians probably would not be able to handle some of the critique or criticism that we would have been given when we were younger, to be fair.
No, I mean, I've worked with some MDs who are frightening. And then I've worked with others that are like, well, this guy's cool.
Yeah.
So he hasn't noticed any of my mistakes. This is great. But like another guy, they're just right on top of you, and you're like, oh, fuck, okay.
Yeah.
So do you ever do any reading gigs?
No, I don't, to be fair. I would like to. I really would like to. I feel like, again, it's just another part of the industry that you can earn from and keep your chops up as well. So
can you read?
I can read a bit, yeah. But I feel like because I haven't had the need to, I haven't stayed on top of it as much.
Yeah.
I find it difficult to do that, to kind of invest in a task that I know I'm not gonna.
It is a huge investment with very little payoff. But I mean, I've started doing them this year. I've done like 4 or 5 theatre shows, and it's like you said, being in those situations where you're like, I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But fucking hell, when you get to the end, like midway through the show, and someone said something to me. He said, look, when you're doing these theatre shows, like, first of all, the guitar pad that you're given is essentially a right-hand keyboard part. So most of the stuff that's written on the dots, you can't play anyway, so you're going to have to interpret it your own way. Second thing is they actually want you to play it like a guitar player would play it. That's why you've been hired. And third, and this is the most important, you're just playing music, and you can do that. And it's like, wow, So I was looking at a piece yesterday, and I screenshotted it. I sent it to a friend of mine. I was like, seriously, it's like 170 BPM, Latin feel in eighth notes, and there's chord changes on every eighth note.
Good luck, brother.
I'm like, am I like, are MDs seriously expecting me to play all of those chords? And he went, just simplify it. There's a bass, there's a keyboard player. Just pick 1 or 2 notes.
Yeah.
And just move them as short distance as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually.
Well, that's a fucking task as well.
Yeah.
But that's easier, like E flat 7 to B diminished to B flat diminished. And it's like, all these fucking chord changes.
Yeah.
And I think I just messaged him back, saying, do you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to funk jam it in C minor pentatonic. If anyone says anything, I'll be, I just got a little bit lost.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back home and just cram it. But
Shed it, yeah.
But no, it's great. I really enjoy the fact that you just turn up 15 minutes before the show, plug in, tune up, we go, and then you're out the door 10 minutes.
But that's now though, I guess. Like, that's probably, you could do that now at this point where you've done a few. If that was me, bro, I promise you I'm getting an hour early.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I need to get this right. Like, I need to know that I start strong on this and everything is, do you know what I mean? Everything's cool. But probably after I've done a few, I can start turning up 15 minutes before and just be like, yeah, we play the show every night. Like, it's just, do you know what I mean? Or I'm good enough of a reader now that, I've read it on the train or whatever, and I know.
You get the dots a month before the show.
Yeah.
So, you're not turning up. I don't think I could turn up. Like, if I got the phone call today, say, could you come and do this show tomorrow? I'd be like, no. Yeah. Unless you want it really bad, no. Or unless it's really easy.
Yeah. I think if I was given the opportunity to, and there was some prep time, I would definitely go for it. I know I'd probably have a bit of a wobbly moment of, oh, can I do this? Can I do this? But you just have to rise to the occasion, don't you? And just
absolutely,
and just trial by fire, I guess.
Absolutely, there's nothing better to sort your playing out than doing a gig.
Yeah. That's it. A friend of mine, Dexter Hercules, the drummer, I'll never forget this, and I always mention it. So apologies for people that have heard this before, but like, he just likened playing guitar to like getting caps. Like, if you're for a young football player, it's like, you just want to play. You just need to play.
Yeah.
If you need to go out on loan to a smaller club, if you need to, it's like the more you play, the better you become. Like jam night, gig, duo gig, reading, function, whatever. Just be playing. And some gigs are like the Champions League, and some gigs are like a friendly, and some gigs are like training.
Yeah.
But actually, just the more you play is the better position you're in. Because otherwise, you just kind of will be sitting around waiting for a gig.
Yeah.
Not actually get to play much.
Yeah.
In between. Do you know what I mean? And then you get to the gig and you're actually a little bit rusty because you've not played with musicians in a while.
Yeah. I think that's the downfall of the bedroom guitar player.
Yeah. For sure.
So, get out and play. Listen, man, I'm going to have to shoot off because I've got kids running home from school anytime soon. But it was a real pleasure to chat to you.
Yes, you too. Definitely.
And thank you for your time. What were the dates or the details of the jam night in Shoreditch?
It's every Tuesday night.
Every Tuesday, okay.
Yeah, Troy Bar every Tuesday night. Always have great musicians there.
Well, I'll see if I can organise it. I'll see if I can drop down.
Yeah, man.
I think Shoreditch is probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on traffic.
Yeah. Come down.
I'll see if I can come down.
Excellent.
Listen, it was a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you too.